Hey everybody, Matt Laughlin here with Coeur d'Alene Real Producers, and in our Real Producers studio we have one of our business partners, Hog Media, which is technically the top real estate media company in North Idaho, which we're going to talk about that, what that means. It's a self-declaration, but there's data to support it. We are going to, Red Hog's going to do something pretty cool. So a lot of our business partners, you're going to be seeing more videos like this. We're going to be rolling out like 4 or 5 quick tips, key pieces of information that real estate agents, real estate professionals really ought to know. And it's coming from the experts of particular industries within the greater real estate industry. So we're going to cover 4 key areas that anybody in real estate should really be aware of when it comes to media, photography, video, and the whole domain of real estate going into 2019. And but before we do that, I thought we'd start with just a quick introduction on who we're sitting here with. Lauren and Brett, husband and wife team with Red Hog Media. And why don't you guys just introduce yourselves, let us know how long you've been doing this, and how you got started.
I'm Brett Getman.
I'm Lauren Getman. And we've been doing this media company for a little over 2.5 years. Started out just myself and saw that there was a need for this business in our area.
Yeah.
And we lived in Boise and saw how impactful real estate photography could be to a real estate business. And so when we moved back up here, we thought, let's try it out and see. So I started it on my own and realized that there was definitely a demand for upcoming drone photography, and I knew I needed a license, and I wasn't comfortable with flying a drone, so I
sucked me in.
You roped the hubby into the deal, yeah.
Yeah, he was already a licensed pilot and just kind of fit with what he enjoys, and so we've made a business out of it.
If we in a future podcast sort of video presentation, we're going to interview these guys on how to be a good husband-wife business owner, but we'll save that for another one. So why don't we start with you, Lauren, and if you could share, I've heard you talk about this previously, but the idea of understanding your photography is really your resume. Right. And real estate photography or media for a particular client goes far beyond that transaction. Mm-hmm. So could you elaborate on that? What do you mean by that?
Sure. We feel like real estate photography is such a new concept for people to understand. I mean, it's been in other areas for many, many years, but locally in North Idaho and Eastern Washington, maybe only the last 4 years, 5 years at the most. So for agents to even think as part of their business is new. So what we try to tell them is that these photos are going to be part of their resume. When a potential buyer or seller is going online, which is where everybody starts, to look at you as an agent, they're going to look and see how you present yourself online. And the first thing that they're going to notice, because we're visual people, is your photos, your headshot, your listing photos. When they're looking at a thumbnail that's the size of a dime, the first photo that they're going to click on is probably the one that has vivid colors. Absolutely. The lighting is good. Yeah. So it's so important to set yourself apart by using professional photography. And when you're going to your next listing appointment, you're going to be able to show that potential seller, here's all the listings that I've sold, and if they're all professional photography,
it's like a portfolio of your aesthetic sensibility. Yeah,
it's going to make a huge difference, and they're going to value your opinion because you have a professional look and a professional feel. And so, not only do you get those professional images, you also get to work with us and have us on your team to provide that value to your sellers. We have our sellers checklist. We come in and we help the sellers figure out, okay, well, this would probably look a little better if we move this chair out of the way. And it sounds better coming from us than it would coming from that agent. Just like you have a lender on your team or you have an inspector on your team, we're your photography team, and we really value that.
I could see it making a huge difference if you really look at it as you're serving your client well for one transaction to get great photos or media, but everything you do reflects your brand and the likelihood that you'll attract new business. And well, let's jump to number 2. So in 2019, we have to be aware that everything we present, photography-wise, but also video, which I know Brett's going to get into in a bit, reflects your brand. Talk to us about this idea of syndication And then also, Brett, you mentioned earlier the importance of embracing digital technology.
Yeah, I'll let Lauren touch on the syndication first.
Yeah.
And then I'll take over with
sure.
some tech tips.
So oftentimes we'll hear agents say, well, I just got it on the market really quick because the sellers were bugging me and they just wanted it to go online. Years ago, you used to be able to go get a listing signed, and you had 3 weeks to get your listing into the book. Yeah. And everybody waited for the book to come out.
Yeah.
Now you have a certain window of time, I believe it's 3 days, to get your listing signed into the MLS.
Tight window.
There is a tight window. So agents are hustling to get all the documents, all their I's dotted, T's crossed.
Yeah.
And once your listing goes live in the MLS, you want to put your best foot forward by making sure that you have the proper photography, because that listing then gets syndicated out to thousands of buyers. It goes on to Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia. And so just making sure that you have all your ducks in a row.
It's almost, Matt, like this is a public service announcement for anyone that wants to sell their home.
Yeah.
So, and it's not really directed at the realtors.
Yeah.
They have to deal with sellers that still expect a 2001 process for getting their home.
Oh, yeah, totally.
List my house now.
Yeah.
We have to understand that once you go live and you syndicate to the major players and all the automatic emails that are in place, you only get to do that once.
So basically do it properly, highest quality possible, because once it's up there, you can't take these syndicated photos down quickly, right?
It's really difficult to get rid of those old photos. And in fact, the prospective buyer has to dig through those old photos to get to the professional photos that have been done a week after.
In our house, I dug through all the old photos. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is really a message to go out to anyone that wants to sell their home. Listen to your realtor and follow your realtor's process. Don't force your realtor into taking the listing because you want to get on the MLS by Thursday.
Yeah.
Follow the process that's recommended by your realtor.
There are actually statistics out there, too, that show professional photography sells your house faster and for more money.
Oh, why would anybody want to? I totally believe that. Let's go even beyond just the photography piece to this aspect of your second topic about embracing digital technology. So
absolutely. So I mean, digital technology is certainly the driving force behind how to market a home. But I want realtors to think of themselves as a CEO of a marketing firm. And a marketing firm within that marketing firm, they have an advertising agency that's a boutique advertising agency that specializes in real estate only. And even if they're on their own and they have no staff, I want them to develop that mindset of being the CEO of a marketing firm. And the reason why is because you're going to be much more akin to embracing digital media that way and not being afraid of, I just am not good at this stuff. I don't know how to upload a YouTube video. Well, good news. There's a YouTube video on how to upload a YouTube video, right? And so that will really drive home the concept of your entire business. It behooves you to have your own YouTube channel, your own Vimeo channel. Historically, people in my shoes that would produce a video for a real estate agent would share it from their YouTube channel or from their Vimeo platform. That is a huge missed opportunity for the real estate agent to brand themselves and control that buyer lead. I want everybody to think of YouTube because it's the second largest search engine on planet Earth, owned by Google, which is the #1 search engine on planet Earth, that when they send out a YouTube link, boy, it sure should be from their YouTube channel that is branded in their name with their content and not send it out to, for my YouTube channel. I cringe when I'm requested to upload their video to my YouTube channel. I always have this conversation with an agent before. Look, I realize you're uncomfortable uploading and creating your own channel, but just know if you're using mine, you're going to get, a repeat ad or a follow-up ad from a competitor, and it's a missed branding.
It dilutes their whole brand.
It does, and I'm happy to advertise myself whenever I can, but that's not my best practice. I want the agents to brand themselves, have their own YouTube channel. It's free, but there is a shortcoming with YouTube. In my professional opinion, you should never deliver a video to an end user from YouTube.
Yeah.
You want your video, you want every single video you do in YouTube, and you want to just sit it out there and let it marinate. Why? Because of the SEO advantages. It's a potential lead gen.
Yeah.
But as we've discussed, YouTube is a high compressed video. It's not clean, and there's pop-up ads. Could be your competitors pop up. There could be something inappropriate pop up. It's based on the end user's search browser history. So really what can work around all of that is having a Vimeo account. It's not free. You're going to pay about $10 a month, but it's going to be a cleaner video.
No, totally worth it.
Ads,
yeah.
And just like YouTube, you can use the embedded link to share on the MLS. And that is a huge tip for everyone to hopefully take away, is that yes, you can share videos on the MLS. There is a place for them. And it's really easy to do. You do it once, you'll have it.
And they syndicate out to the majority of the other websites.
Yeah, very helpful in terms of, let's segue to the third topic, which would be on credentialing. So you actually shared earlier a really key way to think about this, which I'll always think of. I'm not a real estate agent, but I'll remember forever now. So talk to us about the importance of credentialing and how to remember it. What is it? License, registration, all that stuff.
Well, first of all, I got to give Lauren credit. She just recently passed her drone license. So
congrats.
Round of applause for her. She is an official drone pilot.
For those who don't know what that means, please explain. Yeah.
So basically, a photographer does not need a license.
Yeah.
But having said that, any photographer should have a commercial policy.
Yeah.
Beyond their homeowner's policy.
Yeah.
Just in case they knock over a vase or, God forbid, have
anything.
an insurance claim.
Yeah.
Demand that your photographer have a commercial policy in place. I can't imagine a real estate photographer in 2018 not also incorporate drone into their business practice.
Yeah, they have to,
right? Yeah. Or unless they're outsourcing it, but 9 out of 10 times they're going to, right? So that's where the regulation comes into play. Absolutely insist that you have on file at your broker's desk their actual FAA pilot's license. I know it sounds crazy. I am a private pilot for fixed wing as well, but I had to get a separate license to fly these drones commercially. If you just want to fly them for fun in the backyard, assuming you're not in controlled airspace, blah, 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 but you do have to have a license to operate them commercially. So I always remind people, well, think about the last time, if you've ever been pulled over by law enforcement, think about what they always ask for: license, registration, and proof of insurance. That's exactly what a drone pilot needs to provide to their broker that they're serving.
Yeah, those three things. Yeah.
And so the registration, obviously, I mean, that's going to be a moving target every time they buy a new drone. That's like a license plate.
Yeah.
That's a $5 piece of paper you can print off the FAA's website. So I realize that's a moving target. But the license it looks like a credit card. Make sure you have a copy of that front and back. And then the insurance. This is really the critical part. It needs to be a commercial aviation policy. No homeowner's policy will cover drone operations commercially or even drone operations
so it's
at all.
The liability you really want.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've never had a problem, knock on wood, but you're flying a 5-pound camera.
How many, just as a segue, you've never had a problem, knock on wood, but how many homes have you shot this year?
We just did our numbers and it was 1,655.
Incredible. Yeah, that's incredible. But it's
so we'll probably come just shy of 2,000. Not all of those were homes. Some of them were, bare land. Some of them were hotels, resorts.
Yeah.
But I'd say probably 96% of them were
homes. We do a lot of commercial
homes. Yeah. Commercial buildings. Yeah.
Well, that's helpful. License, insurance, registration.
Demand.
Yeah.
That your drone operator has those three available.
Yeah.
It's a liability to the agent. If they're flying their drone around and it hits somebody's car.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Every time I see a drone, I think of liability. Every time, like at a soccer game, kids, I'm just like.
There's a lot of rules.
Yeah.
And it's good for this entire industry. We don't want a rogue operator doing something wrong, flying over people, flying at night, doing things that, there are legal processes to do those. But it's also good that if the agent's working with a licensed operator who's following the rules, it's going to set up reasonable expectations that they can communicate to their client, because nobody ever wants to overpromise, underdeliver.
Yeah.
And insurance is that extra litmus test of what's going to happen. For example, I was asked once to fly a drone. I get asked quite often, actually, to fly a drone in someone's home. FAA does not care. In fact, FAA says you don't even need to be a pilot to do that.
Oh, interesting.
It's not in the airspace.
Yeah.
But my insurance policy will say you're on your own if you do that. So if I whack it into a chandelier, you can imagine a Samsung Galaxy 5X, that explosion will times that by 10 if my big old 2-pound drone battery blew up. It set the house on fire, right?
Yeah.
So that's why insurance policies say, nope, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
So, those types of things are important to be working with someone who has those measures in place.
How about, this is a good segue to your fourth key topic area, and it has to do with some important copyright ownership things with photography that a lot of people are unaware of. Like who owns the real estate photography? How does that work?
Yeah. And so this is a topic that is not covered in real estate school. I hope that hopefully it will be in the coming years. But basically, in any intellectual property situation, you have to put on an intellectual property. And I'm not an attorney. I actually dropped out of law school, so I'm not going to proclaim legal advice here.
Yeah.
But the basics of intellectual property couldn't be more vastly different from real property. And obviously realtors are experts in real property. But the difference with intellectual property and the notion of copyright and licensing agreements, this is all like foreign language. And and what's been even more convoluted is that historically a real estate photographer has been a wedding photographer first who would just dabble in real estate photography. And in wedding photography, it is certainly appropriate to sell the images because the bride and groom may very well outlive the photographer. And so, and historically, back in the film and negative days, the wedding photographer would offer a sliding scale fee package for here's your negatives. You own these
are yours. Yeah.
They're yours. And at your 50th anniversary, you can go get prints made and you won't have to worry about me even being around. Right. When we sat down and devised and created our licensing agreement and our terms of service, we had to come up with something that matched the realtor's permissions that were with their client. And so I'll explain that more. So with real estate, unlike wedding photography, it's a very short-lived, short shelf life photo. That basically is rooted in the RE16. Third page of the RE16, there's a checkbox permission slip that says, I have the right to advertise on, stick a sign in the yard, advertise on the internet, advertise in newspapers. That's a broker's permission slip to basically take pictures of the inside of someone's home, their personal property, pictures of their kids on the wall, whatever, and publish them to the world. That's a pretty heavy responsibility that you can imagine requires permissions. Well, the good news is it's baked into page 3 of the RE16. And that's what we piggyback off of. That gives us permission to go in there as a vendor and take the pictures and deliver them to the realtor, and then the realtor can decide which ones to publish. So that's a pretty heavy responsibility. And we matched a license agreement to mirror that responsibility. That permission slip expires when one of a few things happen. The home's sold. Now somebody else owns it. So the RE16's dead. Or the listing didn't sell and it just expired on date, or it's withdrawn or canceled. Any one of those four things
you
happen.
can no longer legally use the photos.
The realtor and the broker legally does not have permissions to touch those photos or publish them. I get asked a lot on what about a just sold card? There are some privacy law differentials when it comes to a street curb shot. One being as long as it's not a telephoto lens piercing through the front window. From the curb behind the privacy gate. Otherwise, Google Maps Street View wouldn't
violate
survive,
everybody's.
Right? So I mean, that's a perfectly good example of photography that could outlive the RE16's permissions. But nevertheless, in general, I think the mindset that agents need to know is that in intellectual property, it doesn't matter whether it's a book, a poem, or a song. The ownership is always vested in the creator. Period, end of story.
There you go.
Period, end of story. And so, like, if you go on iTunes and you pay $2 and you download your favorite song, you're not buying that song. You're buying a license to play it over and over again for
Yeah.
your enjoyment.
Yeah.
But you can't sell the song for 50 cents.
Or use it commercially or what
or
have
use
you.
it commercially. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we would love to be able to use really good top 20
Oh,
songs
yeah.
in our videos, but no,
Yeah.
we can't.
No,
You know,
yeah, that'd be awesome.
No one's got the budget for that. You know?
Well, this is super helpful. I appreciate your time doing this, and I appreciate you being here. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
thank
having
you
us.
for Brett. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate being your partner.
Yeah. Thank you.